Hello shooters, how's it going? I am Leo from Leonerd. Welcome back. I know I haven't been posting a lot lately, but that's because I had a whole lot of things to do other than my channel. But I didn't forget the channel, I didn't abandon you guys, and it feels really good to be back here on the platform. So in today's video we will be talking about how to properly edit your raw photos. If you don't know what RAW is, I will explain. RAW is a format. Your camera has two formats, RAW and JPEG. JPEG is a already edited straight out of the camera photo. But if you get that edited photo and throw on an editor to change things up, you won't have as much room to play with the dials of exposure, saturation and other things. It's a okay photo, okay edit straight off of the camera. And RAW is a much more washed out image. It is desaturated and not pleasing to look. So you might be wondering, why would I shoot RAW and not JPEG if JPEG has better colors and all that stuff? Because RAW is better for the edit. RAW is like that so you can have enough room to do whatever you want with that photo. In RAW it preserves the dynamic range, which means that the highlights and the shadows will be better than the highlights and shadows of the JPEG. And what are highlights and shadows? Highlights are the brightest parts and shadows are the darkest parts. So it will have much more information. That's why it is a much bigger file, a much heavier file, the RAW file, but you will have much more information to work on that file in post. Let's get into the computer. So as you can see, I am here on my computer. I am using Lightroom, but don't worry if you don't have Lightroom, if you have another software, they pretty much work the same with the same dials, with the same things to maneuver. And also a very good tip that I will give you is that if you download Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom on your phone or a tablet, an iPad, it will have a pretty decent free version that I used actually for a long time, for like a year, maybe about a year. It is great. It only doesn't have a few of the adjustments that the Pro version has, but that's not a big deal. I promise you that won't change a lot of your photos. You won't need that in a lot of your photos. So you can download Adobe Lightroom for free and achieve very nice results. So without further ado, let's start. This is the original photo, the raw photo with the washed out colors, and this is my final edit that I posted on my new Instagram. So this is the final edited. I'm pretty happy with the results. It looks really nice, one of my favorite photos I've ever taken. But let's go. This is the raw photo, and as you can see we have many dials here. This is exposure. What does exposure do? It's basically the brightness of your photo. In this case I think it is too bright and I want that to be a little bit darker. So I will put about here. I think it's good. Yeah, here it's a very nice point. It's not too bright, not too dark, where I want it. Contrast is, it will make the colors pop. So if you put too much contrast, the colors will be very vibrant, let's put it like that. But don't get confused because we have vibrance, but that's not the case. I'm just saying that if you put too much contrast, it will darken the colors. If you put too less, it will make the colors brighter. So right here we want a little bit of contrast, not too much, not too exaggerated. And as you can see, it is already looking a lot better than the original RAW, which is this one. It has a lot more detail, as you can see. The water is much more detailed with just 2 dials. Isn't that insane? So right here we have highlights. Highlights are the brightest parts of your image. So if you put it all the way to the right, it will be blown out. I don't like that, and I want the people that see my photos to look at it and see the sun circle. I think it looks really good when the sun is very circular and not that blown out thing. So I will put it about here, maybe. Yeah, I think it looks good about here. So it is already looking pretty great, but we can actually make a lot of adjustments to make it look even better. So the shadows are the darkest parts of your image, and if you go all the way to the left, it will be darker. If you go to the right, it will be brighter. So in this case, I want it to be a little more brighter. About here, I think it looks good, because I don't want the viewer to look at this part of the photo, but this part. So I don't want this too bright, but I also don't want it too dark. I want it visible, but not the center of attention. So I think about this 15, it's good. And remembering, every single photo is different. The settings will be different of every single photo right here. So if you have a photo of a ice place, a snowy place, the settings will be completely different. So what is the point of this video? Is for you to watch the full video and get a basic knowledge of what exposure does, contrast, highlights, shadows, and after some practice you will already know what they do automatically. Okay, so let's continue. Right here we have our whites. So as you can see, it looks pretty strange when I put it to the maximum, and as I said, I want the sun to be very visible. But if I put it all the way down, it looks not very natural. The sun has this kind of haze always, and I want that to appear too. So I will get the whites and put about here. I think it looks very nice about here. It's not blown out as it was before, and it is not too shallow. The haze, it's not too shallow like it was here. Okay, so here are the blacks. This will control the black parts of your photos. So so I want them to be a little darker. So what did we do here? As you can see, we added a lot of more detail. This is the raw, and this is what we've done so far. We just adjusted the lighting. This is the section of lighting on Lightroom. As you can see, just by doing that, we added a lot more of detail into the final photo. This is the raw, and as you can see, there's a lot of more detail on the waves right here, on the mountains, because they weren't, you could barely see them. So right now we have much more detail. This part is very complicated, so for this video we will jump it, but if you guys want, I can do a whole video talking about the curves. Okay, here we have temperature. This makes your photos look cooler or hotter. So in this case, it is a sunset, it has some water. I don't want it to be very cool, very cold, because it looks very unnatural, very weird. So in this case, I want it to be a little more popping, a summer vibes photo kinda. So we're going to put it a little bit hotter right here. This is the tint. This actually changes all of the colors of your photo. I don't like messing up with this a lot. I usually don't even touch them, but sometimes it's necessary, so just play around with them and see what you think looks best. And here is vibrance and saturations, the two most dangerous dials. So please don't oversaturate your photos. What does that mean? Don't put this dial on the max or close to that, and this one too, because your photos look very weird. This is a mistake that every single beginner makes. I made them myself, so I am telling you, please avoid putting this on the highest or close to it, because it will look very weird and very unprofessional. So here's the vibrance. I like to put the vibrance always a value that is smaller than my saturation. I don't really know why, but it works like 98% of the times. My saturation here will be about 8. I think this is good. Please don't put it above 50 or close to those numbers, because they will look very unnatural, very weird, very unprofessional, as I said. So here are the individual color controls, so you can individually control every single color of these ones. And right here we're going to control the oranges and the yellows to make it look my style, like is in this other edit right here. So I will put it about here. I love this color, this orange here, and the yellow one will be about here. I think it looks good. Let's see. Almost matched. It's pretty similar. Look at this. These ones are a lot brighter too, but we aren't finished yet, so we can do that as well. Oh, I will put the vibrance a little bit right here. The luminance is actually the brightness of that specific color right here. The luminance for orange is the brightness of oranges. So you shouldn't also go to the extremes, or very much or a little too low. That will look weird. Right here I put 7. I like this, it's looking great. And I will put this just a little bit. I know it's oversaturated, but that looks intentional. That is not exaggerated like this. So I love this. And as I saw in this other photo, the exposure was a little bit higher. So we're going to put that too in this edited photo. And I will show you right now in this tab right here a thing that no one has ever shown you, that will make your photos pop, that will make your photos go from here to here. So this is the texture. This is basically the texture of the things. As all the things, don't put it too low, don't put it too high. Too high it will look unnatural. Too low it looks like you grab an eraser and went over your photo. So a texture I like to go about 5, 10. And this is the secret one. This will make your photos look a lot better. And I discovered this by myself. Every travel photographer loves to use this dial, and I discovered it just editing my photos. So it's very important, this process where you edit your own photos, where you try all the things to see what looks good. This clarity dial right here will make a lot of difference. Look at this. I don't know how to explain. Your photos go to a whole new level. It's crazy. Don't overdo it again, but I like to put it pretty much higher than I usually put other dials, like the vibrance and saturation. I like to kind of overkill, let's put it like that, the clarity. Dehaze, I wouldn't mess up with this. This is just in specific cases where you want your photos to be fixed, but you can mess up with this and see what it does. Right here I will put just a little bit, because I saw that the colors looked better when I put it. So vignette is basically this oval shape around your photo. I like to add this. It adds a very moody style, but not too much, and I like to use it dark. I never use the white ones. I like these ones, the dark ones, and I'll put 4. It's very subtle, very nice at the same time. And this is split toning. What this does, we have the spectrum here, and we have the shadows and the highlights. This little circle will apply that color of the spectrum to the highlights, and this little circle will apply that certain color to all the shadows. And here you can control what one you want to be more apparent. So right here I will put this highlights, which is the sun right here, a little bit orange, not too much, do not exaggerate. I want it to be about here. I think it looks good right here. Oh, that one was the shadows actually, my bad. About here. It looks great, and for the shadows I will put a orange too, but not as orange as the other one. The higher you go, the more saturated, and the lower you go, the less saturated. So it's looking very weird right now, but let's fix it. Okay, this is looking good. I like this color, and then I will desaturate it a little bit and place the other one over top. No, it looks too orange. Right over here, I think it looks nice. And highlights or shadows, you just play around and see what works better for you. I think I will put a little bit on the highlights. This is actually sharpening, digital sharpening. I don't really use this. When I use this is like 5, the maximum that I use is 5. So I wouldn't mess up with this. This is actually very good. Noise reduction, where you can reduce the noise, the grain on your photos. If you have a lot of grain on them, high ISOs, I don't know. And this is lens corrections that I see many people using. Look what this does. This one removes the distortion, but this lens has no currently distortion. Removes the vignetting. That some lenses, they distort. If they are too wide, they distort, and if depending on the lens, it will have a natural vignetting that is not edited on a software. So this is to correct everything, and this is the geometry, which is the distortion. You can mess up with this and see if it looks better. Like I could do this with my photo to make it look bigger, and then zoom in a little bit, crop in like this, because I made it the photo wider. You can mess up with this and see what's working better for you. So we had this photo, and we got to this photo. It pretty much looks the same. So this is the photo that we edited right now, and this is the photo that I posted on my Instagram. It looks a lot similar, and yeah, that's how you edit your RAWs properly. This video will end here. I hope you enjoyed. I tried to make a full in-depth tutorial about how you properly edit your photos, and I think it turned out pretty good. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and share it to a friend that is a photographer just like you and might enjoy this video. I'm Leo, I'm out, and as always, see you in the next one.